but what do you think like the number one way that the simulators have impacted kind of Fort Vermilion? Is it like this, the fact that it's a safe place to fail? Is it a fact that like, you have your own curriculum that you can kind of play with?
I think the biggest thing is that it's the biggest thing is that kids get to get as close to a real perspective of what that job's going to look like before they actually step foot in it, and before we actually put them on real equipment. There's so many trades in healthcare and those sort of things. So, for example, when you're paying with a $90,000 dummy that does everything except think, you can actually get into a real simulation. No different than if you're playing with a rock truck and you're backing up or trying to load it on a trailer. You can, a kid quickly feels, and so many of them drove it off the trailer. Well, you don't want to do that when you're in the real rock truck. So then when they get in the real rock truck, they know exactly what to do with it. Where beforehand, they don't have a clue. Like if they say I want to drive heavy equipment. Okay, what piece? Like there's bazillions of pieces. Which piece do you want to be great at? Because more than likely you're going to like one over the other. It could be the controls. It could be what you're doing with the dirt. Maybe you want to drive a crawler and you want to drive a cat and you don't want to drive a hole. Like there's so many different aspects of that. And so our kids, especially when they go into heavy equipment on simulation, we get them to try every machine that's on that simulator. Because what we also want to produce is the report card at the end that tells us, have they been efficient on fuel? Are they hard on steel? Because the employer really wants to know those pieces too. And all that we can print out in the report card on how efficient and how effective they were. So that they, an employer can go, look at this kid, like, he's 99% efficient. He's not only saving you money, he's not wrecking your machine, and he's productive. Because you can be so hard on steel that all the money you make, it goes in the hole because you're buying parts, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really important for kids to understand that entire concept and how they're graded, which CM Labs is fantastic at in terms of printing out for each machine. And then the new field work where we can have the three machines working together simultaneously in the same field is vital for us when we put them on 5 or 6 machines out in a lot where they're all working the same thing in a live training exercise. And so that coordinated simulation, it used to only be 2 and now it's 3 in the new update, which is fantastic. But it really allows us to train our kids in a way that provides a real life example. So, you're filling up the rock truck and you're moving dirt and then the cat's moving over here or a mini hose over here. It really is very helpful. Or bobcat.
We know it's one thing to like learn how to dig a trench on your own, but it's a whole other thing to learn how to like fill a truck and then, that truck to dump the dirt and then the dozer to come in. It's a whole like teamwork thing. And there's no like replacement for that. You can't like give someone a textbook and say, this is how you work as a team, right? You kind of just learn by doing it. I can imagine as the instructor too, it's nice just walking around, watching that happen and giving tips, right?
And it's all timing too, because you don't want a truck sitting idle and you don't want the hoe waiting for the truck. Like if there's work to be done, time is money. And that's a big thing that kids need to learn too. And, there's the fine line between speed and recklessness, but how do you do it in an efficient way so that nobody's waiting?
Yeah, that's great because like on the reports we have that idle time, right? So if you're not moving for like more than 3 seconds, I believe, like if you're fully stationary, like a clock starts and you'll see it kind of ticking up. And at the end, like you can see, okay, he was only idle for 5 seconds, whereas you might see someone who's idle for a couple minutes, right?
We have a number of industry partners also that use dash cams. So when they're training their guys, they'll actually put them to a test before their interview. So they're not school-age children. They're people that want a job, say they have the training. They'll do a 12-hour shift, which is a lot in simulation. Yeah. And they'll do a five-day, 12-hour day shift where they come into our facility and run that machine for 12 hours. They take their normal lunch break, the whole bit. And then the next week, they'll do a 12-hour night shift for 12 hours for 5 days in a row and put them through the paces. Now, I just say that's a lot of simulation, but what it does is the safety officer is really sorted out saying, I watched you. You were on your phone the whole time.
Yeah.
Why would I hire you? What are you going to do when I'm not watching you? So those sort of pieces, they've really honed in and really started to use the piece. And we open our facility for community to use and industry partners to use as part of this, and they absolutely love it.